What a good way to get everyone. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here in person today.
Yes,
We love to see a quorum.
Yeah.
Good. Just at the outset of the meeting, I think Emma and I both have to leave early. I have to go pick up my kids, so I need to be out about 2:05 to 2:10, and you're
I'm
right about that.
2:15, so we're gonna try to keep us as close to that time as we can.
So we're starting with minutes from December of 2024. We do not vote on our February meeting notes. But is there a motion to approve the December 2024?
December.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or corrections?
This was because we didn't have a quorum last time, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Got it.
Right,
All those in favor?
Yeah. Any opposed? No. No one's up.
No one's on Zoom.
Okay, well, that took 1 minute instead of 5, so we seem-
Okay. So the next we
Let-
have is the leadership
Jeff is
committee
on it.
update on upcoming ACC meeting locations and speakers. And
Want me to talk about that a bit?
that would be
We had a meeting, gosh, a week or so ago. And basically following up on some of the things we talked about at our retreat. So one being whether or not we can move to different meeting locations, which it sounds like there is a precedent for. So Sean, I'll be reaching out to you soon to think about if there are other meeting locations we can move to. Specifically, we were interested in some places that are other city locations, like
Okay.
community campus, the library, the senior center, and or whether or not we could also meet with the chamber. The idea being to pair in with those kind of offsite meeting locations, some speakers as well, because all of those individuals were mentioned as people that we wanted to bring in to speak to us. So both Christine, the director of the library, Nicole, the head of the senior center, Ben with the chamber, and Bryn Sullivan, who works in the rec department as well, were some of the folks we wanted to reach out to. And we've got another short list, again, based on the list that we generated at the retreat of other folks we want to bring in. Lisa Burke McCoy or Cassie Mason from the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, which run the kind of statewide arts commissions meetings that we get the emails about every so often. The New Hampshire Art Association, who we've talked about, already has a kind of professional development pipeline of activities that they develop. Folks around BIPOC Fest. And I think that was the bulk of our list. So we're going to be reaching out to them and setting up those appointments for future meetings.
Just one note, Cassie Mason retired.
She retired.
Right.
She did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be Lisa.
I mean, we could still reach out to somebody from the state council. I'm sure Adele would speak to
Adele
us.
would know,
Like, yeah.
Yeah, we were particularly interested in Lisa since she does the kind of monthly arts commission calls.
Yep.
And I know when we were first starting out, she was the one Linnea and I reached out to and said, who's doing this work well within the
Mhm.
state already? And she just seems to have her kind of finger on what all the other arts commissions are doing statewide, and I think could bring some interesting perspective to our work and our conversations. So we will be setting those up soon, so stay tuned for more information about guest speakers and offsite meeting locations as well.
any questions or anything else, Ken or Jeffrey?
I think I just noticed, is our next meeting, did we say April 21st?
Mhm.
Is there a Google Calendar invite for that yet? I don't think I saw one yet.
I don't,
I think
I'm not sure.
I think you sent out.
Yeah. Did I set it up as
I think you
recurring?
sent
I
out all
don't,
the dates for
It
the
just said
year, but I
ongoing
might be
for the
mistaken.
yeah, but I think because we had these off,
Yeah,
Right.
Uh,
I
don't see
didn't
one on
do a recurring for the 3rd, but I can start that for April.
That's great. Thank you, Sean.
if possible. Yeah, thank you.
It's on my calendar.
Mine too. I haven't. I'm not sure. I'm not
You
sure
have
how I
it.
got it.
Yeah.
I just do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like relying on other people.
And you only have yourself to play.
It's not showing, it's just saying a personal
Years of
responsibility.
experience.
Mm.
Move on to our next agenda item, which is the committee's terms and reappointments and vacant positions. And was there a little conversation? I'm not sure who wants to lead.
Yes, we've been having a conversation about essentially what my understanding is are two vacancies. We have one vacancy for both a resident. When Jessica left and also an alternate position as well that's open. We had been in touch with the city clerk and I think I had mentioned, as I noticed in the city newsletter, they have been advertising the vacancies and this vacancy was advertised. And it sounds like from what Counselor Cook has recently discovered, there is at least one applicant in the queue.
Yes.
So you wouldn't mind sharing what you,
Yes, the mayor is putting forward a nomination tonight for Mandela Pruitt for the Arts and Cultural Commission. I don't know for which seat. I don't know which seat that's for.
If she's a resident or not.
I don't know if she's a resident. or not.
She works at NHA.
she does.
Yeah, she's.
What's her name again?
Mandela Pruitt.
I
Mandela.
recognize that name.
A great name. Mandela.
Does she work at the Art Association?
Art Association.
Yep, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I've
Oh,
met her.
great.
Yeah, she works at New Hampshire Art Association. I've worked with her before. She's wonderful. But I think the question remains which kind of category she fills, since our only vacancy right now is for resident.
I thought Jessica was on as an artist, no?
No,
Oh,
she was
interesting.
on
Okay.
under resident. Yeah,
Okay.
we went through,
Okay,
even though she is an artist,
Artist,
she was
right, okay.
technically under the
Okay.
resident.
Did we ever fill Robin's seat?
That was Jessica.
That was
That's
Jessica.
Jessica was
Jessica
our
was-
alternate who
right.
stepped up and
Got
filled because Robin was resident and thankfully Jessica was also a resident,
So
so
it-
she could step into Robin's, but so now we have a resident vacancy and an alternate vacancy. Yeah.
So we're presuming Mandela is a resident also?
We'll find out tonight.
Find
Oh,
out.
she's a resident. Okay,
Does,
she must be.
I mean, the mayor's seen her application, so he's seen her address.
Yes, he should have, yes. So I will ask him
Perfect.
tonight. And then we'll have clarity.
Right, but an art, and people in the artist spot also need to be residents also, so it's kind of moot. It's just a question what she's labeled, not a question.
I don't think they need to be residents.
So
Oh, yeah.
the challenge I have is we don't know if she's. And well, technically, yes, artists are residents and usually artists and
Resident.
residents, yes.
For residents.
Did I say residents?
Yeah.
Residents, and so are the just general committee members, but the problem is that she's also affiliated with an organization, so we're not sure. I'm not sure if she's applying as an affiliate of an organization or one of those other two, so
Those slots are full though.
they are, so she could be an alternate.
Got it.
Mhm.
Got it.
No. Okay.
So that's the question I have is like,
I don't.
what is the
Oh.
role here?
See, but the other thing that was never
be-
clarified was
There it comes.
who had the 1-year terms, who had the 2-year terms,
Right,
who had the
that was
3.
our
We know
other
that.
question. How do we find that out?
It's a to-do for me. I'll take it
Yeah,
to work with the city clerk's
Right,
office.
because nobody got sunsetted, you know, I mean, because
Right.
theoretically, somebody would have already been sunsetted and would be re-upped for another 3-year term.
right. So that should have come to the council after 1 year. We should have gotten some renominations, and then after 2 years, we should get a few more. Like, so we should be getting a few every year.
Yep,
For
right.
reappointments. The only seats that don't get reappointed, just so everybody remembers, are the organizational seats.
Mhm.
And we are hitting the end of terms for at least one or two of those.
Mhm.
Are we? I thought we were on for 3.
Well, some of you are 3 and some of you are 2.
Yeah.
So we put all the organizational seats at 2 and 3 instead of 1 year, because we knew it seemed unfair to not be able to reapply and to only get 1 year. So, so that was the original stagger. At least that's how it was supposed to be made. Not sure.
Well, the other thing is
happened.
that it's really hard to get anything done in 1 year.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, it is. So,
Especially being brand new
yeah, exactly.
as an organization.
And if you guys want to change anything, you can do that too.
We
Remember
can.
this, the ordinance,
Term limit?
if, yeah, if you don't like, no, like seriously, if you don't like anything in the ordinance, if you're concerned about anything in the ordinance, we just had sustainability just came back to us. Their ordinance was around the same time. They came back to us to make changes. Because they saw what it was like in practice for a few years, and then they said, we're having troubles getting quorum because we have too many students, and they don't always show up. So let's change the number of students and let's change. And so they just altered that, and they altered their rotational information. So
All right, that's good to know.
Right. So if somebody had a 1 year and they re-up for 3 years, it's as if you had a 4-year term, unless that person decides to opt out, which of course, I mean, Robin already dropped or
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, it makes sense that whoever here theoretically had a 1-year term is in it for 4.
yeah, I mean, that's basically how it works at this point, because they weren't reappointed on a
Right.
schedule. So, but we need to get that information from the clerk. Yes. How they allocate.
So it's not like the Prescott Park Arts Committee, where Beth Marguson and I decided we were on it till we died. I'm sorry. It eventually got sunsetted, but we
Yes.
still occasionally get a call.
Mhm. This usually happens in a lot of committees. So, yeah.
All right, then we will wait.
Just a quick question about potential candidates. Could we be considering anybody that's kind of touching a pressing issue that we're having a dialogue around? For example, could it be somebody that works for a developer? I'm just talking out loud here. Could it be somebody that works for housing, the housing authority, if they're a resident? I'm just wondering if it's an opportunity, to maybe bring in some expertise around issues that are kind of pressing for the commission right now.
You mean in either the resident or the next spot?
Yeah,
Not the
yeah.
organizational spot, but.
Right,
They
right,
have to apply, but we could reach out.
right,
So-
right.
I'm oddly enough, I'm having coffee Wednesday morning with Marie Bodie, who's the president and CEO of the McNabb Group.
Okay,
Hmm.
Just saying I could-
yeah,
I could throw that at her and just say, your thoughts on something like.
yeah, I mean, I think they'd bring in a lot of valuable perspective. Is there any reason, Kate, from an ordinance perspective, that we couldn't?
You can
consider her?
recruit and get people to apply, and then the mayor gets to choose.
Okay,
That's
Uh,
basically that.
Sean?
I would just say, as you are spreading the word, that you make sure potential members understand what the commission does and what the mission is, right? Versus there are others, like in the EDC, it's about economic development, right? But there's different roles we try to fill to have different voices at the table. So if someone is not, let's say, passionate about the arts, should they be on this committee?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Or if they have a personal agenda that's not to our task.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah,
This is a really important qualifier,
yeah,
because when we took the first round of applications, and we had to look through, who has a commitment, who had, who has shown dedication, because we had more applicants than we did
Mhm.
spots. And, but we had some people that we didn't know if they would be contributing members or not.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably would have been fantastic, but we had people we did know,
Mhm.
in looking through them.
Yeah.
All right, next up is work group reports, and maybe I'll start by saying there is no report from the DEI group this time, not due to not still being committed to it, but simply due to time management. So we are continuing to work on the spreadsheet that shows price accessibility to different venues around the community. And so we'll be continuing to work on that. What about communications?
We didn't meet this past month. We were trying to get some time on Monty and Stephanie's calendar, and I think Stephanie's just now coming back from a vacation. So I think we're gonna attempt to kind of do that this upcoming month. And kind of chat with them, because I think our initiatives around that were really, how do we align correctly for getting stuff out there? And what does that relationship look like? Because we definitely want to publish and post more stuff. Should we hand them canned stuff that's ready to go? Should we work with them more closely? And so I think we're just redefining that relationship moving forward and after our retreat in January.
Mhm.
So that's our plan. If it doesn't work out, maybe we'll just meet regularly.
Yeah. Just a little guidance, because I have experience in this area. Normally it needs to be ready to go.
Yep.
And then they put their city eyes on it.
I think that's what we were attempting a lot last year too, was kind of establishing that.
Yep.
So
Great. And sorry, last thing is just anything you send to them, just make sure I'm on copy so I can do my job. Thanks.
If I can add, let me add a couple of things for communications. So one of the things that we worked on was a.
Right here, actually, item 4. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm sorry, I
Talking
just,
about the press release, the press
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah. No,
Like the
she was
weight,
just,
Ken, is what.
it fits right in with item 4 here, so we're good.
All right, thank you, bud. So we drafted up a press release, and this was something with Monty's guidance. We were going to try to get some coverage in the paper in regards to accomplishments of 2024 and some of the things we'll be looking at for 2025. As you guys know, obviously, I copied on that, and Emma just provided a quote. That was Monty's suggestion. So Monty has everything he needs at this point. So hopefully we can get him to get something in the paper.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to highlight here something in relation to that. We're often asking what the differences are between the Arts and Cultural Commission and the Public Art Review Committee. And it's about where their focus is. And this demonstrates it very well. The Arts and Cultural Commission is wanting to put out information to the public about this is what we're doing, this is what we're excited about. Public Art Review Committee is reporting to the council. So it's a totally different focus. The Public Art Review Committee really kind of, its focus is serving that constituency. And Arts and Cultural Commission serves this, the wider community constituency.
That's a nice way.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
distinction.
yeah, I also reached out to some of the people we met with Park last time to maybe try and set up a meeting with them as well. They're also on vacation. It's a great month for that. But I think that would be another good relationship just to, I know when we met the first time, be like, oh, we should meet more often and like keep this line of communication open. So I just kind of like lightly reopened and was like, hey, I think we'd love to meet again just to like see what's changed or if there is space to like work together or make stuff happen.
Yeah, and I think you'll find some overlapping. So if you can recognize those and then not duplicate efforts, that would be helpful for everyone, right?
While still on communications, I have one update. I reached out to Rotary. Norm
Right.
Olson is the one who manages their speaker, the lineup of their speakers. Probably July is the first time we can get there to speak and tell them about the Arts and Culture Commission. I said I'd be happy to be one or the person that speaks, but if somebody else wants to join for that, just let me know. It's probably like a 30-minute presentation on what we do. So that's like a PowerPoint, it's all sorts of stuff. So I'd be coming to you guys anyway for help crafting all that.
I was gonna say, I think we were talking on an email thread a little bit about putting together like some sort of canned presentation
Mhm.
Right.
materials. And so that's on our to-do list.
Okay.
Is that what you're gonna go over, Ken?
And I was just nodding in the,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, because that was something that came out of our executive committee meeting the other day, that we come up with a package for people. So
Do you
I
think,
think
do you
if-
think that's the right timeline? Like, should I reach
Yeah.
out and secure a spot now for July and?
yeah, it gives us a deadline.
I would say too, for, it might be worth the conversation to just decide what we're looking for, cause I said I can make a PowerPoint that's like aligned with the Meet the Commissioners PowerPoint, that same like Portsmouthy branding that kind of keeps us consistent, and then I'm happy to put together, whatever else we'd like. Just want to know what those things are so I don't go totally down the wrong track and then be like, "Ugh, we're not
Kind of.
using that."
I kind of always assumed a presentation about what we are and what we do would be almost entirely based on the cultural plan, educating people on what's in the cultural plan. So the pillars, what our work is and what we're focused on. And then looking at things like the press release that just went out.
Yep.
Not reinventing the wheel when we're speaking about the things that we have done. And then also talk about the things that we have coming up.
Yep.
And, you know, that was kind of what I had in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that.
Love it.
Good flow.
Do we need anything else, do we think, besides like a PowerPoint? I know we'll have maybe I saw some over there.
rack cards,
Rack cards in hand.
probably cultural plans, if there's some extra, if there's a stack of them somewhere. Rotary typically has, you know, 30 or 40 people per meeting. So,
I want those.
to have both of those there, to have you know, materials for people to take away if they're interested in learning more or getting in touch with us.
We talked about having people pointed to the cultural plan online because we didn't have that many copies of it,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
like, yeah, but
Mhm.
I mean, and that can be said
Yeah.
during the speeches.
But
I have
good to have a
couple copies
few,
of these,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Similar to the rack card is like a QR code on a slide, like if
Yep.
you wanna take a copy of it home, scan
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Or find it on our website.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I think, from my understanding, is the website is good and right now, so if everyone wants to take a look, that could be another fun little to-do
cool.
item.
Mhm.
Oh, like putting the pressure on right now.
Uh,
I'm like, you know, so. I think one thing I did tell Monty, sorry, Jen, one,
Oh, no.
was to remove the current, we had like from months and months ago, like what our current focuses was, and I was like, I think I just told them, take that down for now. I don't know if maybe that's the last thing. I was thinking we could probably realign for 2025, come up with a new one at this point. And that's like a small adjustment, but ours, like communications was like getting the word out, and I was like, "Ah, we could probably come up with something better now." So I was like, yeah.
Good point.
So that's the one change I saw. I think it should be good.
I would suggest one more slide for that general template, maybe of a explanation between ACC and Park. Yes. Because sometimes I think people do, I've kind of heard that a few times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then this is my question for Sean, and I think I probably know the answer, is when we put this together, you probably have to look at it and give it a thumbs up. Just checking.
So do you want each of the work groups to look at
That's great.
kind of like a,
Yeah,
these are
our
the things
pictures
we're
aren't
working
there yet.
on and update that and get that to
Sure, if you
you?
want to email that to me, I can
Okay.
put it all together and send it over to keep that flowing, and maybe
Okay.
something, I think we originally said like quarterly updates, I feel like that's.
Yeah, that
that's a
feels good.
Safe amount of time.
Yeah, okay.
Or at least a quarterly. read.
What's the deadline?
Oh, perfect.
That you need
Um,
that by,
Yeah.
because we're meeting, what did we just say, the 16th of April?
Yeah.
Can we get a meeting or two? Maybe our May meeting, or is that too
Sure.
late? Is that,
Let's. Yeah, I guess since July is seeming like a good deadline for stuff, why don't we say for the June meeting having,
okay,
so then it's kind of facing the second half of the year.
Was it LinkedIn?
Maybe we'll have some clarity on like term limits and stuff and. next
So
steps.
Teresa, the headshots and bios are still not up there, is that?
I lied. Well, he has them and I know I reforwarded them, but maybe I'll just lightly press on it again.
There's not a link to that? I thought there was.
There, let's see, I'm looking at it and.
That was the final fix that I thought was
Okay.
done, but.
No. They're not there.
I got it.
he's-
Our names are there. I probably look different.
Just one last thing for communications that I just want to say, because I was supposed to go to deliver some rack cards to the chamber and to talk to them about our idea of using some of the different arts organizations as resources for activities when conferences are in town, et cetera. And I have had so much going on with my mom that I haven't had time to do that. But if you're going to set up with the chamber soon, let me know. Otherwise, I will move forward with that.
Collaboration and
Yeah.
resources. We didn't
Mhm.
submit anything, but we could probably report out. We just met right before this meeting. Sherburne is something we spent a lot of our meeting talking about, so that's already a burning issue, so we'll wait to talk about that. And then the other one was
the Arts District.
Arts
status.
District status, which we got an update from Kate on
Mhm.
and have a plan for thank you, Kate, for next steps,
Mhm.
prodding them on that. Was there any other big topic we went through?
Well, why don't we just ask for our motion now?
Sure.
Yeah,
So we have a proposed motion for the group.
Yeah, so the proposed motion is to get to vote on this. I'm happy to draft a very simple, like paragraph long letter that would go out to developers to inform them of the community feedback that the community has spoken extensively on wanting work living space, and that our city council has put forth, I guess, your own motion to, was it to the planning department?
Planning board.
Planning board, yeah, planning board, to have them look at this and see if we can actually have an official arts district for the city of Portsmouth that would carry with it incentives for developers. So the purpose of this letter would be just to simply give developers a heads up that this is something that is under review. It is something that the city is considering. We certainly don't want to promise in any way, shape, or form that this is a done deal, but also give developers a chance to weigh in on interest, what ideas that they might have around incentives, if the incentives could keep the arts or arts-related focus in the city of Portsmouth. So it's going to be short and sweet, and Kate has sent me the motion language that went to planning board, and I would include that in the letter. So, you know, there's a lot of development going on, especially in areas like the West End from different developers. Can we get kind of out in front of this and make sure that they're aware of it as they're planning? So we're not missing the opportunity, basically. So can I have a motion that I would draft this letter? I'm gonna get feedback from my fellow work group members on the language. We're certainly gonna get Counselor Cook's input on it, and then it would be okay to go out to developers. So I'm looking for a motion. If you're all in support of me drafting the letter, it's something I can work on probably in the next several days, and we'll get it rolling. So can I- yeah.
If our work group is also weighing in on the language.
Yes,
The
yeah.
motion could be simplified to just say, could I get a motion to allow the collaboration and resources work group to craft a letter to go out to developers, raising awareness about the recent motion passed by the council.
He says it so eloquently.
So simplified. I like.
So
So moved.
Yeah.
Don't move. All right, you got a second?
Second.
Okay, all in agreement, say,
okay, I want to make sure I get this down right.
anybody opposed?
I don't know if I can remember. Let's say.
Oh, it was just the last part. Basically, it's a motion to authorize the collaboration resource work group to craft a letter to the developers,
Raising awareness.
raising awareness.
Around an arts district and potential developer
Yeah,
incentives.
we could even just say raising awareness about the motion that was passed by the council.
So
Oh,
it was actually passed.
It was passed in December, and
December
it
2nd.
it goes to the planning board for incorporation in the master planning process. So Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we just now are in the process, we've hired a contractor to do the master plan with the planning board.
Working through the scope of work, but yes, we're not quite at contract.
Okay, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
And as soon as we hire someone.
Right.
Then this would basically be part of their planning discussion around the new master plan. So it's to
Okay.
be incorporated in the new master plan.
So,
And we're talking about the arts overlay.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Arts
So-
overlay district.
And what incentives could even be offered.
Right.
Okay.
So the council doesn't decide that, the planning board would say, oh,
Right,
this is an
okay.
incentive we can
Right.
provide. And that's where the input from developers might be helpful for the planning board.
Mhm.
Everybody's kind of taking a shot in the dark at what that would look like.
right.
So
So we have an arts overlay district.
Well,
That,
we have a request to the
Oh.
planning board to establish an arts
Oh.
overlay district in the West End.
Mhm.
right,
If the council voted unanimously to approve that request. For the
Okay.
planning board to do that as part of the master planning process.
But nobody knows what it will look like yet.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Because
also about
the-
soliciting
Yeah.
feedback from the developers.
So the
Okay.
developers then provide input.
So the motion is to authorize the Collaboration Resources Work Group to craft a letter to developers raising awareness of the motion passed by the council and seeking feedback on the incentives that would be meaningful to them.
I would say possible incentives. maybe.
Possible, okay.
I think that's what I said a moment ago, yeah.
And that's.
And he wrote it down and.
Quick question. So
Well,
I
I need to work regarding Arts Overlay District in the West End. It has to get worked into there.
quick question, just to throw it out there, but I know we kind of have focused on the West End, probably given the, the location, the button factories there. Yet all the development, not all, the lion's share of the development now is projected to be in the North End right now. That's where there's going to be a lot of development. Does that make sense to be looking at that? It's a closer connection to downtown. There's still a lot of ground to be broken. I don't know how much more development in the West End is possible. I'm trying to think about the spots there. I mean, things will be reimagined, but it's not going to, there's not a lot of parcels of land that are going to be developed. So just to throw it out there.
My understanding from talking to Beth about this was the whole arts or the whole overlay idea, really the residential overlay that they did back where now Stroll is exclusively in that back area behind Market Basket. That was kind of a test to see what was possible. This first arts overlay would also be a test to see what's possible. If it goes well and it works, I think there's a really compelling argument in the community to expand it and try it into other areas. But in the business district of downtown, which I think the North End would be considered under that, it just wouldn't be possible. There's too many. It's too much of a business centric area.
And I think I can add on the challenge on the north end is almost everything is already permitted or in permitting.
That's what I was gonna
process.
say. They're
So it's too late to change
Gotcha.
zoning and then provide
Yeah.
incentives.
Yep.
And most of that stuff, this is what boggles people's minds, has been in permit or applications since before the pandemic. So all those new buildings going up, most of them, the permitting process started in 2018, 2019, 2000.
extended.
Yeah, and got extended and extended and extended. But once they put in an application, they're locked in at existing zoning.
Yep.
So I don't think there's actually a lot to develop
Gotcha.
over there, unfortunately.
That would be.
No, that's what I was gonna say. They're good to go. They're starting to put shovels in the ground. So the plan is already established.
Yeah, the West End has a lot that's being purchased right now.
Hmm.
That could, for redevelopment, but
Mhm.
there aren't very many applications in. We were trying to figure out, Sean, which ones are already in. I think the Ampet gas station project, that application's in process.
I don't know them all.
Yeah, I don't know them all, but there are some that aren't in process yet. Yeah. That will be real.
What was it?
I don't.
Yeah.
How far up does the North End extend? I don't actually know.
Even though
Does it stop at like Bohemico Park, like, or does it keep going?
I would think it stops at north. Yeah, at 95.
Basically to Newington.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really open up any more room for development, but if houses start coming down or something, maybe.
Well, that's even already permitted over past Bohinco Park. The parking lot there. that
Yeah.
Just was settled in
That
a,
was just
Yep.
for, a couple
Or-
hundred rental units. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
We're adding inventory.
really not
Hold on.
anymore over there. Yeah, that was a court case.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
finally-
we're clearing our court cases and
Yeah.
moving forward.
So that's the other thing. A lot of these have been permitted for a very long time, but they've been in court, so just wait.
Actually, the planning is like thinking 10 to
I
20 years in the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just want to add a little fun update, which will be starting Wednesday. But I am going to be doing official field trips with the Portsmouth Senior Activity Center. So I just want to let all you know that, and it's another benefit of going through the process with the city and getting my permit, and I did get inspected and all that. So every other month, the seniors are going to be coming to my studio on the shuttle.
Very
And
cool.
then every other month, I will continue teaching there. So it's a nice win-win, and I'm very excited about it. So anyway. Artists, get your studios approved.
Let's
and
go.
all sorts of
Right.
Great things can happen.
Gonna lead the
So,
way.
Yeah. Make with the senior center.
All right, yeah, signage.
Nicole,
Um,
right? Nicole's her name.
Yeah.
Next up.
She's on my.
Yeah, Jason, we have next up city signage. So do you want to talk us through and I think we had talked about now that we have a quorum today, making a motion.
Yeah, so obviously, we've been working on this for a little bit now and had the input of the entire commission, and the communications team has talked about it in a bit more detail. But you know, the idea, of course, is establishing city-owned signage that would be available to qualifying arts and cultural organizations. And we've been doing a bunch of due diligence, looking at other towns, how they've done it. It really comes down to how they set the eligibility guidelines and criteria. I know Kate's working on trying to shape a policy that we'd obviously, need to utilize to get this push forward. But what had been asked of me was to take the lead in drafting a motion to present to this commission, very similar to what Karen had done on her successful endeavor. And so I did finish that up with input from everybody. Ken gave great input the other day. Right now it is in the co-chair's hands. I did copy Sean on it, so he's aware of what we're doing. And so I kind of leave it to you guys to figure out what the next step would be on that.
Yeah, looked quite good. It was very thorough.
Thank you.
That's great.
Are we can we read it today? Are we at the point to vote on it?
We put it up on the screen.
I might be, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can find it.
So it's like a page and a half or something.
Mm-hmm,
It's not just a paragraph.
mm-hmm.
Got it.
It's it-
You like a
Jason
speed
did
read
a-
though.
Yeah,
too.
right.
Jason did a ton of research on this, which allowed him to write a fairly thorough document.
Is the
Thank you.
motion a page and a half or?
I boiled it down to it's one page at this point.
Mhm.
Okay.
I might have
Yeah,
made
and
the
you-
font smaller.
You addressed it to the city council. So I guess the question is, do we?
That I just, sorry, I copied her language on that.
Oh, okay, it's for us.
It's for us, yeah.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more
Right,
sense.
that's where.
Yeah.
I
My bad.
said that and I was like, you just need to.
I
spit
took
it
her,
out to us.
it
Okay,
was
cool.
so beautifully written that I took the template and then just modified and I didn't.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Steal
Let's
shamelessly,
do it.
please.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
I saw the wheel and I
Yeah.
said, the wheel looks good.
So Jason, do you need our vote on it? Is there, what do
I
you?
think that's what was being, because you had,
I think we want people to read it and then we can say, yeah, that we're good, because it's also something that people can take to meetings or stuff, if we want to make the case to somebody.
Yeah.
Let them know what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
It's,
got it.
Oh, great.
The,
Yep.
the good thing about looking at this now too, is it gives me the backing when I'm working with the legal department on policy drafting language over the next few weeks.
Mhm.
Say the the Arts and Cultural Commission has requested this.
Yes.
sorry, if I turn
Specifically.
that off for a second, just. for-
Mhm.
Thank you.
So, and so then even if people aren't thrilled about it, we will develop the language and the language can go to the council.
Mhm.
So.
So we could read this out right now and then vote on it as is, or we could make a motion to allow Jason to craft something and with our approval, expected approval at the end, I don't actually know what the step would be here.
yeah, I'm not sure either. I think,
We just gave Karen permission to draft something, essentially, it's,
But I think this is drafted. It's
Yeah, I
just
think-
changing.
Yeah,
yeah, it's one step ahead of the other, but if we need approval from the group, we could simplify and not actually read this whole thing out right now.
So this is language that we can circulate to the whole group and then vote on next month?
I'd rather not let
Yeah.
a month go by.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, because I can't, read
I
that
could,
right now.
I can email it to you right now.
I think what we could look at here is just a motion from you, Jason, for the Arts and Culture Commission to support pursuing this signage initiative. And then we can vote on that, and then that gives that would give you what you want, Kate. right?
Yes,
To
that'd actually
say-
be really helpful, because, so the challenge we always have at the city is time
Mhm.
is expensive. And our legal department is really busy and has a lot going on, and added that they were all out for about a month with like the flu or whatever in
Oh,
a
no.
series of,
Yeah.
so they're kind of backed up. So So it's challenging to get time to sit down and work on something that's a new initiative when they have 50,000 other things that they're working on. So having the backing
Mhm.
of the commission to do that
Mhm.
would help me get that time, to be honest.
So to me, that sounds like all you're looking for at
Yeah.
this, that's all we need at this point. And then we have your lovely language that we can use. And I know you had asked Lene and I to follow up with Peter Rice, right? Yeah, so we can do that. And again, and yeah.
Through me, please, to
Will,
Peter.
Yeah.
will do.
Yeah.
That's okay. No,
Always
thank you for the
record.
reminder.
Jason, quick question. Is there, and I don't know if this can be scrolled up a little bit more, but is this using existing city signage, like physical signs that already exist? Or is this also asking for new
This would,
phy-
in all,
physical,
it would
like,
be asking for new. We're
new,
identifying, yeah,
okay.
because there's some hardware that exists that was utilized for Portsmouth 400.
yeah,
Frankly, in talking with some other folks, including West Grazier, we felt like, you know what, some of it was probably smaller than we'd like. So it would be identifying the locations we want, developing a uniform standard size, in all locations.
okay, yeah,
And so, yes, we would need.
yeah.
S-
So I don't know if that needs to be put in here, just because I wasn't sure about that, and I fully support it, and I think it makes a lot of sense, but maybe it's saying that it's new physical signage. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna confuse things, but I think that might help.
Do we need it at this point, or is, I feel like that's a
Mhm.
few steps.
To, okay,
Because
But I mean,
ultimately,
good.
we
Well,
have,
look,
we have
doing,
those.
doing my job here, I don't know what to write in the minutes.
Yeah, I'm preparing a motion in my head
The
right now.
motion right now,
I-
Jeffrey.
I'll-
I'll
Okay.
Figure out what
I'll
that
for you.
motion's gonna be.
There's some discussion that's happening about this right now.
Yeah, I would caution as to asking for how it's going to be done.
Mhm.
Right now, get the policy in place first.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then let
What?
the city manager go through the process, of figuring out how that happens.
Yep.
Because if we have hardware now, and that's something that we can utilize, that's useful, and we're not spending money, then it doesn't have to go through the appropriations process to request money, because
Yeah.
that's another year.
mhm,
So the longer,
I also think this could be a fantastic opportunity for the public-private partnership we've talked about, with organizations, outside and contributing to, making
Yeah.
like that a compelling case to businesses around Portsmouth.
yeah,
Through the relationships we have, I think that could be possible.
yeah.
and then Sean can work on that with the city manager in a way that it doesn't ever, there's not an appropriation that comes to the town.
Yeah, I'll just say, I agree with you, Counselor. Get really clear on the what, because that's what you, for now, like really clear what it is that you're asking for, proposing, and then it's easier for me to take it internal to my colleagues, and like whether it's Peter Rice or others, and then it's also helpful when you go out to businesses to say, this is what we're talking about,
Mhm.
and this is the value to you as a business, and all this good stuff, because we know how important arts and culture is. But sorry, so
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Get off the soapbox.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just gonna say that, I mean, our whole committee has read it and approved it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so if you want to just do the same thing, give the committee
Yeah.
approval to move forward, and then Jason can
It looks great.
do it.
Thanks for all the hard work. It
Yeah.
looks great. You're
Mhm.
responding to
Team
what's
effort,
been in the
seriously.
cultural plans,
Yep,
right?
yep,
I mean, this
yep,
is what the
yeah.
community has asked for.
so the chairs would entertain a motion.
So I have a motion.
But it sounds like Eli is
We're
on it.
working on it.
So
The
I-
motion
Man.
I'd like to request a motion to support the Arts and Cultural Commission crafting and submitting a letter to the city council, creating a new signage plan that benefits arts and cultural institutions. That would encapsulate the crafting of it and allow him to
You'll
send
get
it
a
out
cake.
to all of
I'm
us for
looking at
feedback.
Counselor Cook here, does that?
It would allow us to submit it as well.
So if you adopt the letter now, then I can start working on the language of the policy that would accompany it.
Right.
I would not send it to the council.
Okay.
Unless you have a policy that's been vetted
Correct.
through the legal department. Because then what'll happen, unfortunately, this always takes forever. It'll come to the council with the request from the Arts and Cultural Commission in a draft policy. And either the council will say, okay, we're gonna go with it, because it's already been gone through legal. Or they're gonna say, this needs to go to governance for review. And then they're gonna send it to governance for review. I think you start with a request not to do that. You start with a request like this that goes to the council with a draft policy from this committee that's gone through legal. And it's gone through the internal process, because by drafting this, it can start going through an internal process that Sean can work with the city behind the scenes, and then I can start working the policy with legal. And then we can come back with what goes to the council.
How do we increase the probability that legal, because legal has been where this has died, this idea has died before. How do we create a tailwind of support? And it's this document.
This
I
document
want to
helps.
create that tailwind that makes legal look at it saying, how do we find a way to say yes, not how do we out of hand say no?
This, so the thing about this document is that this tells them that the Arts and Cultural Commission, the entire commission, has voted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're intending to bring it to the city council. And then legal's in a position that they have to work on a draft policy to bring to the council. Even if they don't love it, it will come to the council.
It's okay.
Like, you've told them that you're planning to bring this to the city council for a policy decision. So,
So is this document sufficient to move forward?
so,
I just haven't read this at all.
yeah, I have,
So-
I think it is. I think it's
Great.
sufficient, and it gives me the authority to work with legal essentially, and it gives Sean put Sean in a position that Sean can take this to, the
Whoever needs to
leadership-
see it.
Yeah, leadership meetings
Yeah.
and to discuss, right?
Right.
That this is coming forward from the Arts and Cultural Commission.
It provides good background on how we got here and precedents from other cities and
Yeah.
towns. And then here's what here's what we recommend.
Okay, I retract my motion. I have a new one.
Okay.
Motion man.
Can I get a motion to support the Arts and Cultural Commission submitting its letter to the city council creating a new signage plan benefiting arts and cultural institutions? This letter stands as is. This is our letter. And it's giving you permission to submit it to the city council.
At the
I
appropriate-
support.
It doesn't, but
Yeah, it
I
won't
didn't
happen
list the
immediately.
timing.
Right,
I would
exactly.
wait,
Yeah, so that's
give it a little
fine.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're not adjusting it anymore. This is our letter. Good. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I second.
All those or any discussion?
Call for a vote.
All those in favor?
So
Yeah.
can you-
Okay.
can you send me what you just wrote?
Jeffrey
you guys.
does the hard
Alright.
job here.
That's really exciting.
To
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, I'll copy it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Jeff. Sean's getting it out to everybody, so you'll have a copy as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I just keep this?
Sure.
But it's a good thing to get moving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so burning issues, and I'm wondering if, could I have allowance to make one quick, top of mind kind of points of connection? The Chamber of Commerce is planning to have their Streetlight Festival in Bohinco Park, this coming August, and it's going to be arts focused. So Park is already connected in, but I wanted to make sure ACC had awareness of it, and I just didn't want to forget.
What are they gonna do, a lobster dinner?
No, no lobster dinner.
Chamber is
Um,
holding their street life.
so street life. And it's going to be arts focused, so it may be great, and I'm happy if it sounds okay to the commission. I'm on the board of the chamber too, that I could check in about like a tent or a table, something
Yeah.
for ACC.
That'd be great. Do you
Yes,
need a
it
vote
is.
on that or just?
Do you have anything that you
awesome.
can send out, Linnea, on the event itself, like even if it's early?
I don't think it's,
I think it's up yet.
they got
Okay.
permission?
So what's,
Just wanna make a-
Oh,
when you
wait,
say it's-
wait,
when you
idea ahead of the- Did they get permission?
Done enough for that.
No, they're working with the city. I'm just saying, they haven't, I don't think they've,
Right.
Announced it.
I said I go to the chamber meetings as well.
Okay.
So, well, there you go.
I will
That's okay.
but it, okay.
That's a pro forma.
Yeah, okay.
Just thinking if it's arts focused, is there an opportunity for the commission to weigh in on what that means or what that looks like? Or is that already figured out? Because that could be kind of pretty cool if
We're
we
talking
could,
about having Ben come to one of our meetings, so we could.
yeah, that would
We
be
still have some
great.
time, it's in August,
Yeah,
so we'll look at maybe having him at an earlier one. Yep.
yeah,
The-
Yeah.
that would be,
Yeah.
that would be great.
They did work with Park pretty extensively, or
Okay.
they've had a few conversations. So
Yeah, Yeah.
So primarily visual arts then? I'm just curious.
yeah. that's
Well,
what
they're
I'm
holding it in
thinking.
a- in a
If you
sculpture
needed
park,
way,
so
There could
it's
be performing, there could be
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm
musical.
just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They had lasers in the last street light.
right, right.
No,
So
but when Park okayed the new fish sculpture at the pavilion, the goal was to draw attention to that pavilion so that it would be used for more like musical arts.
Yeah.
And performing
Mhm,
arts.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was more thinking it's just gonna be a great, when there's already a focus on it, to be able to hand out our brochures or. you know.
Yeah.
We typically pay for, do people typically pay for booths?
just
Nah,
Like, do we need to?
They
factor
don't
in-
usually have a,
expensive. It's not really, I think they're, yeah, it's all very
so I'm
different.
kind of making something up, you know,
Well,
like what our
it's-
presence would look like.
This is an awareness. So, but understand, just so I can speak to this, the chamber requested permission from the city because that's how it works, because that's city property. So,
Yeah,
So we can maybe make a request back to have a little table there.
yeah, I'm not,
yeah.
I'm just letting you know that this is,
Quid
this
pro
is,
quo.
the chamber does this every year. They choose a place to have their, this year they've requested permission to hold it on city property. And I think the city is fine with that and we're working through those details. But that's, separate of, I'll say, my office, but
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a great thing.
yeah. I think your idea of having Ben come to maybe our next meeting
Yeah.
and just to, where we all represent musical, performing, visual might be a good opportunity to just brainstorm a little bit if he's open to that and just provide some.
I believe they
Yes.
had music when they had it down at PMAC or down that way. There
Yeah.
was music.
Yeah,
They had music at the hangar last year.
Yeah.
At Forsyth
Right.
Funk playing, like,
yeah.
there's usually a musical component, whether it's in a sculpture
The,
park.
the cool part is that's the big event for the business community,
Yep.
right? So for the arts to be more engaged, that's who's in the audience.
Yeah.
I still have to schedule it. Hopefully they can schedule it on a city council night again.
No, I don't. And
I hope
they're looking at like midweek, so it's not a Monday. I have no
Yeah.
here. Okay,
No lobster, really.
no lobster. I have to live that one down. Or live up to it, sorry, I don't know which way. It was amazing.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was an amazing night.
Wonder what the tariff is.
So
Oh,
Sherburne,
could-
we did just
yeah,
have a
Sherburne.
lengthy conversation about it. Maybe we give the spark notes on that.
I can do that.
I feel like
Yeah.
we don't need
Okay.
30 minutes on that. We
So-
can sum it.
Mm,
Yeah,
Um,
summarize.
I think the limiting factor on Sherburne is what the grants look like for redeveloping the building space, the historic school space. And so that's basically what I told the group before. It's if they end up with arts grants and historical preservation grants to preserve that space, it will be easier for them to develop it into live, work, artist space or studio space. If they do not, it becomes more challenging. So it all really depends on what their grant profile looks like for the development, and we don't know that yet. So
And if
we're gonna keep having conversations with them.
if all grant funding falls through, they can't do the project
Oh, really?
entirely. I mean,
Yeah, people-
they're so reliant on the HUD funding that, it's a big question
Mm.
mark.
I mean, that's what I should, that's the challenge around. If HUD quits giving out grants and tax credits across the country, there won't be any public housing developed.
Right.
So it's not just us, so we don't know what the status is of that. And that kind of lays into that next conversation.
Yes, it does.
One other thing that did come out of that though, because there were two finalists for the Sherburne School, it was PHA and POA. And Jeffrey had some conversations with the person at POA. It came up in our conversation, just talking about would HUD funding be necessary had they gone with POA? And POA seemed to indicate maybe not, but some of the funding on their other projects falls through, then it's all, you know,
Right.
it could still affect everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which developer we go with, but it is leading our work group to investigate, talking to Alex and having a conversation at one of our next work group meetings.
Yeah.
So the advocacy that we can do with PHA is exactly what we're doing right now, just to remind them that yes, Artists Live Workspace would be great if you can include in your project as you presented it and it got approval. With the understanding that their whole project is a little bit in the air right now.
Yeah.
Until that funding comes through.
I think also knowing that with POA, there might be potential future opportunity in the city
Yeah.
of Portsmouth.
Other
So again,
development.
have the dialogue with them too on what the community has requested around our Artist Live Workspace. So they're also aware of.
Which was not. in their
Community input.
proposal.
Right,
So
right.
This is an
So
opportunity to get into their
exactly.
future
Yeah.
proposals.
Well, just noting that POA does have other Artist Live Workspace projects that they're currently working
Yeah.
on. So that they do have a resume in that area.
That's actually a good point because it was in Dorchester, Mass,
Yeah.
right? Is that workforce housing? Do you know? So that might kind of
Um,
fulfill one of the things that we were talking about earlier.
I would guess, but I can't say for certain.
Yeah,
I
okay,
just know that it is Artist Live Workspace that they're working on in Dorchester.
okay.
And it's under construction right now, I believe.
I wonder if they would be willing to share any details about that since it's public.
Well,
Just
we're,
might be interesting
we're
to
gonna
learn
try and
about
get
it.
him, yeah,
And that, whether ahead of time or when he comes to our meeting in April.
right.
Okay.
So leading into the budget cuts from state and federal. I don't know what to say here. Just.
Nobody knows what's happening.
Well, I think, are you
go
and I probably
Yeah.
thinking the same thing? So on Friday night, because we like all these late Friday night cuts to try to make sure the public doesn't notice things. Executive order came out and eliminated a number of smaller independent federal agencies. The one that I've seen get the most press is Voice of America, but in that same executive order, the Institute for Museum and Library Services. Which is huge. So
Oh,
they're known as IMLS. We at Strawberry Bank have had several IMLS grants over the years, most recently for our Walsh House redevelopment. I mean, fantastic project,
Mhm.
hands-on learning.
has it been dissolved or just funding cut?
Dissolve, I mean, they're ordered to wind down essentially.
Yep.
So there's nothing on the IMLS web page right now, but there's an advocacy alert through the American Alliance of Museums, which I think I can send, could I send out to this group?
Send to Sean and then.
Yeah.
Send it
Please.
on the-
If there's any petitions we can sign.
Yeah,
and-
so their sample language for congressional representatives and phone scripts. So I've done my calls today, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
rough
that
out there.
It's rough.
Yeah, and we put on here not only federal sources, but also state sources. I
Mhm.
think it was sent around to the group, but New Hampshire State Council on the Arts is, I think it's $1 million cut over the next 2 years. That's on the table as well with the current governorship. So there's a lot of advocacy they're planning. I think they had a day the other week. It was like in the middle of the workday in Concord,
Concord.
but I'm actually gonna see Adele next week, who's the director of that organization. So I'll see if there's any other work. I don't know if anyone else has had
Well,
conversations.
I
with
was
them.
part of that whole planning thing and then I just had to drop it all because I had a family emergency. But there is an advocacy toolkit. It's about the arts that is out, that was developed, and that's what they presented at that Concord meeting.
Okay.
I can share that
Yeah.
with
That'd be
everyone. I will do that. Yeah.
Please do.
I have a question about that. Is there more leverage as a commission that we're advocating as a group on some of these issues that clearly impact the arts and culture?
Right.
Do we select which ones we want to be? Obviously, we'd have to vote on it versus us acting independently. So I know our goal is to be advocating within the city of Portsmouth, but is there an opportunity for us and more power in us advocating at broader levels as well, where it could be
On
meaningful?
the federal level,
Federal or state.
do we get the city in trouble by accident? We advocate for federal
I don't
things.
think the federal government cares about us. I
was
really,
gonna say, I
I
think
Current one
we
doesn't
might
care about
numbers
anything.
in
I don't
some
think-
way,
Yeah,
like
I'd be
how many-
impressed by something from, I mean, we can try, but
Yeah.
especially this federal government, I just don't think, we can try, but they're not gonna pay any attention to us. They're not
Yeah.
paying attention to anybody.
yeah.
I don't know what the protocol is on some of these things. I think that, Sean, you can help me look it up, but, figure it out, but, you could, reaching out to our state delegation in Congress they would care
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
this organization and this organization's views.
Right.
Whereas reaching directly to the federal government would probably have
Yeah.
very little
But as a
impact.
commission, should we be
I'll,
collectively reaching out to the state person?
I would ask that I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know the protocol in terms of
Yeah.
because you are appointed by city council. You
Right.
represent city council, the city. you rep-
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you're speaking for the city of Portsmouth, I don't know exactly what the protocol is around it.
yeah.
If it's speaking for the Arts and Cultural Commission of the city of Port, that's my question. Are we allowed to speak
I'll find out.
for the Arts and Cultural?
Yeah.
I can ask that question.
And can I hear you for sure? But is there more power in
Right.
Yeah.
13 of us versus us doing this individually? My hunch is there might be a little bit more power if we do it collectively as a
Maybe on
group.
the state level.
Yeah, on this-
Yeah,
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
that-
I hear you, I hear you, yeah.
I would say on the state level, you're better off individually
Hmm.
signing in and expressing your concerns.
Saying we serve on this.
Yes, because Portsmouth doesn't always get as much attention at the state level, and things that come from Portsmouth aren't always valued.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
it's better coming from individuals.
Okay.
I don't know if it's possible, but is there a way to leverage like Lisa Burt McCoy and like other commissions in New Hampshire, which Portsmouth maybe presents like language suggestions, and then sort of all of the commissions come
Mm.
together with something?
Good
'Cause
point.
it could be 13,
Right.
but hey, we're also leading Concord, Manchester, and Nashua on this initiative as well.
Right.
We're all in agreement.
That'd be a good question for
State.
We're
Lisa.
all the same.
Yeah, be a good question for Lisa too.
Yeah.
I would assume somebody's doing that. Is somebody doing that, some advocacy at the, I don't know.
From what I've seen has been things that the State Council and the Arts themselves have organized to get other groups and individuals behind them to petition to the State House to say, please continue to fund them.
Right.
So I know Lisa was on our list for us to talk to, so I think this is a great conversation we can have with her too at that
Yeah.
time is
Yeah,
what are there things we as a commission or commissions broadly throughout the state can be doing to help support State Council on the Arts and or arts in general this moment within the state?
yeah.
Federal conversations aside. So it's a good question to ask her.
Mhm.
And if you're signing in on any of this legislation to express your views, I find it's always very helpful if you tie it to a financial incentive for at the State House. So you can say, the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts supports us,
Mhm.
which allows us to bring in $72 million in annual,
Yeah,
and so, I think that that's always really, really helpful.
yeah.
Because if they see the money,
Mhm.
that's their meals and rooms tax.
Yeah.
Which right now the state doesn't have very many sources of funding anymore. So it's an important.
Yeah.
Any other burning issues anyone wants to bring?
This is not really a burning issue and shouldn't have any discussion. I just said that I would bring it up. So I had a coffee the other day with Chrissy Penny, who's the new executive director of the dance hall. And she was saying, other than the Kittery Art Association, there really aren't any other arts organizations in Kittery. And she feels, they feel more tied to Portsmouth than they do to Portland or Augusta. And so I'm just throwing out there that if there's any way in some of the things that we're doing to include them in some way, even though they're not our city, they're not even our state, but they really feel like they're out there alone.
Mhm.
So I just said I would just throw it out to the group and mention it in the minutes, and we just think about them. So
Yeah.
I think somewhere in, I know there was discussion when this was being created about a regional approach versus just the city. And my recollection of the conversations is that was encouraged. The nuts and bolts about how to do that is a question thing, but I think
yeah,
if you read through this, somewhere in here, it mentions regional approach.
Does, I remember that.
Isn't the AFTA study regional?
Mhm.
I would think that would cover.
We can always invite people to join our meetings and to be here with us. They just, the ordinance says that you have to be a Portsmouth resident, or in our case, the organization has to be Portsmouth resident to be a member.
Mhm.
So
But they could come to meetings.
they could, they
Oh,
can
I'm
come,
by that, yeah.
anybody can come to meetings. And in
Mhm.
fact, the chamber often participates in some
Yeah.
of the meetings, even if they're not a member.
Twice in the last week, I've encountered people from the cemetery committee. And I haven't seen-
No, I'm just wondering why.
Well, actually, because one person was talking about doing something at the Athenaeum on the exhibits committee, and then I led a photo walk through town, and I was looking for information on the Pleasant Street Cemetery, which almost nobody knows. But if you look at our 5 pillars, one's preservation, and
Right.
so I think there's a possible connection.
Mhm.
And so maybe we should ask, maybe that's someone we should ask to come and speak to us at some point. I'm not sure. I don't
I didn't
remember.
even know they existed.
Well, I see.
Oh, they're
Well,
they're
did,
big time.
They
They are
clean
big time.
headstones and,
Cemeteries are.
It's a big deal.
so I just think,
I didn't know we had a committee.
I think we're funding
yeah,
this
see,
committee.
see,
They
here's
get
their
like.
website has, I think, they need better photographs, but there's their web page on the website. But I just think there may be a connection. And, when this woman was speaking at the Athenaeum, I just thought, well, maybe we should get together. Maybe there's something we can do to
Yeah.
help them.
My
Make the
immediate
connection.
jerk reaction is there an opportunity for art?
Yeah.
Right? I mean. That might add a little brightness.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And, and the thing is, one of the things they do is they go around, they clean headstones at these and you look at some of these headstones after they've been cleaned, they're really old ones. And the iconography on them is amazing. I mean, it's just it's really neat. They've done a lot of work at South Cemetery and North Cemetery.
Yep.
So especially North Cemetery and the Union Cemetery. So
Yeah,
if you have time, wander over there some point, but
yeah.
just thought I'd throw that out.
Thanks, guys.
Ken.
Yeah.
Ken.
Anything else anyone wants to bring up for burning issues? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Favor?
Uh,
Right, thanks, everyone.
Good meeting. Thank you.
Nice to have everybody here, or most of us.